Caitlin Clark just dropped a warning, and the WNBA might be heading straight for disaster. The league's biggest names, once its proudest faces, are now turning on their own leadership. They're calling Commissioner Cathy Engelbert the worst leader in the world.
I have great respect for Fee, and I think she made a lot of very valid points. And, I think what people need to understand, we need great leadership in this time across all levels.
And this isn't just frustration, it's rebellion. It all began with Napheesa Collier's exit interview. She didn't sugarcoat a thing. She called out everything players have been whispering about for years: poor player safety, broken officiating, and leaders who never really listened. Her exact words, "the worst leadership in the world," hit like a grenade. Within hours, the quiet discontent that had been simmering across locker rooms turned into a public storm. Players, analysts, and even sponsors started asking, what's happening inside the WNBA? But Collier wasn't alone. Sophie Cunningham jumped in next, and she didn't hold back either. She said, "They're failing us as a league and as players. She always makes it about her." That line, "she always makes it about her," spread across social media faster than any highlight clip. It wasn't just gossip anymore, it was a movement. And then came the moment nobody expected. Caitlin Clark speaking out, the face of the WNBA's growth. The player every network, every brand, every fan follows. She's usually calm, careful, and calculated. But in her exit interview, Clark decided to speak up too. "We're at the most important moment in the league's history," she said. "Leadership and players must step up." No names, no finger pointing, but everyone watching knew exactly who she meant. And that's when things really got serious. Because Caitlin Clark isn't just another athlete. She's a cultural force. When she talks, sponsors listen. When she pauses, the internet explodes. Her voice doesn't just echo, it moves money, ratings, and public pressure. The timing couldn't be worse for the league. The collective bargaining agreement, the CBA, expires at the end of this month. Players say the negotiations have turned ice cold. They claim the league isn't listening to their demands for better conditions, better pay, and basic respect. If talks collapse, a work stoppage is no longer just talk. It's a very real possibility. Inside team facilities, tension is boiling. Sources describe meetings between players' union reps and league officials as frozen. No progress, no trust. Just silence and frustration. Cathy Engelbert, the league's commissioner, was once seen as the visionary who'd take women's basketball into a golden era. But now she's the center of a firestorm. She answers directly to NBA Commissioner Adam Silver. Yet she's surrounded by WNBA players who feel invisible. They say her listening tours and town halls were just for optics, a performance instead of progress. For years, players have complained about the same problems: commercial flights instead of charters, inconsistent officiating, poor medical support, and constant excuses from leadership. Every season, the same promises return, and every year, those promises fade. And fans aren't blind to it anymore. Hashtags like #DNUsher fix the WNBA and players over politics trended for days after the interviews went viral. Even longtime supporters admitted, the talent on the court has never been better, but the leadership off the court has never looked weaker. Sponsors have started to pay attention too. Nike, Google, and AT&T, all major partners of the league, are reportedly monitoring the situation closely. None of them want their brand linked to controversy, especially during the finals. Because yes, this chaos is exploding right as the WNBA finals approach. The Las Vegas Aces and the Phoenix Mercury are ready for a showdown. But behind the spotlight, a bigger battle brews. It's not just about trophies anymore, it's about trust. This is now the ultimate showdown between players and leadership, between promises and accountability, between what fans are told and what players live every day. Even the locker rooms have split energy. Some players trying to focus on the game, others quietly preparing for something much bigger than basketball. And make no mistake, the unity among players right now is unlike anything the league has seen before. When one player speaks out, others follow. When one demands reform, the rest amplify it. The solidarity is strong and dangerous for leadership trying to maintain control. If Engelbert can't repair that relationship fast, this finals might not be remembered for the winner, but for the league-wide implosion that happened right in front of the cameras. Should WNBA leadership be replaced? Comment now and hit subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. The players have learned something powerful. They are the product. Without them, there's no broadcast, no brand deals, no audience. And they finally realize just how much leverage they hold. The question now is simple. Will Cathy Engelbert step up and make real change before it's too late? Or will this finals become the flashpoint that exposes the league's biggest crisis in decades? Because if players walk out, or even threaten to, the damage won't be limited to one season. It could rewrite the future of the WNBA altogether. The tension behind closed doors is now impossible to hide. Negotiators describe the talks as unfixable, and both sides are digging in. Inside the players' union, frustration has turned into planning. Players are studying contracts, hiring independent lawyers, and coordinating their messaging online. This isn't just anger anymore. It's organization. It's power with a plan. And at the center of it all is Cathy Engelbert, once praised as the business mind who could elevate women's basketball. She built strong sponsor relationships and brought national TV deals. But none of that matters if she loses the trust of the people who make the game worth watching. Even league staffers are feeling the ripple effects. Internal burnout, communication breakdowns, and a growing sense that leadership has lost control of its message. Some departments are reportedly working overtime just to manage public relations. Meanwhile, NBA executives are quietly watching, because remember, the WNBA doesn't operate in isolation. If its brand collapses, the NBA's reputation takes a hit too. Multiple insiders say the NBA may have to intervene if the finals are overshadowed by player walkouts or public protests. And that possibility isn't far-fetched anymore. If the CBA negotiations fall apart, the players have leverage like never before, and they know it. The idea of a strike, once unthinkable, is now openly discussed among veterans and rookies alike. For many, this isn't about money, it's about respect, safety, and the right to be heard. They're tired of being told to wait while promises keep breaking. The irony is, the on-court product has never been stronger. Viewership is at record highs. Caitlin Clark, Aja Wilson, and Breanna Stewart have become household names. The league should be celebrating growth. Instead, it's fighting fires. Sponsors are cautious, networks are nervous. The finals, meant to be the biggest celebration of women's basketball, are now being drowned out by the question everyone's asking. Is Cathy Engelbert finished? Behind the scenes, owners are discussing a possible leadership reset. Either Engelbert introduces sweeping reforms, or the board replaces her before the 2026 season. If she can calm the storm, she might survive. But every interview, every leak, every player tweet makes that window smaller. And the pressure is multiplying. The WNBA wanted more attention. Now it has it, just not in the way it imagined. Caitlin Clark's influence looms large. Her leadership off the court now carries the same weight as her dominance on it. When she says the league must step up, millions echo her sentiment online. Even NBA stars like Stephen Curry and Damian Lillard have voiced support for the players. That crossover matters. It proves this isn't a niche protest anymore. Inside locker rooms, unity is unshakable. Veterans are mentoring rookies not just about the game, but about contracts and collective power. They're not just preparing for a season, they're preparing for a revolution in how women's basketball operates. So what happens if the finals end and nothing changes? That's when things could explode. Players might refuse extensions. Sponsors might freeze contracts. The narrative could flip from celebration to collapse in days. The next few weeks will decide everything: the leadership, the league's image, and maybe even its future. Because if Engelbert can't turn this around fast, she might become the first commissioner in WNBA history to lose the locker room completely. But let's be fair, Engelbert isn't out of moves yet. If she can announce real reforms, bring transparency to negotiations, and address player concerns before the CBA expires, she could still rewrite this story. The league's future could go one of two ways. Either this becomes the breaking point that tears it apart, or the turning point that finally forces change. And make no mistake, this story isn't just about sports. It's about power, accountability, and the moment athletes realize they deserve more than lip service. So as the finals tip off, the question isn't who'll win on the court, It's who'll survive off it. Will Cathy Engelbert rise to meet the moment or be remembered as the commissioner who lost the trust of her players when it mattered most? If you followed this story so far, you know the league's never faced stakes this high. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Engelbert can fix it, or is change inevitable? And hey, if you want every new update as this story unfolds, hit subscribe right now. Because this storm, it's just getting started.